You making that before 12. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You already know what it is. Your boy D-Rugg, aka the Magnificent Asshole, aka Mr. Paint My Eyes Red, aka the goddamn Sock King, aka Mr. Throw Up in Your Bitch. And these are the arrogant assholes.
You already know your girl Gabby, it be so good, the only lady but still the realest nigga in the room.
It's Jus'Black, man. They want to stay back, but right now we got a pastor in our midst.
Oh, you can't pass today?
Yeah, we can't really like say
that shit.
bad words.
You don't think you being all good and shit.
Yeah.
You see him? How you know?
You never do no AKA?
I thought you was finna say your real name and shit. Yeah, this is German.
I'm on best behavior right now, man.
Nah, but we got a legend in the building.
You got Billy Albert.
Yes, sir.
AKA White Dawg.
White Dawg.
Yeah, man. That was good.
Papa Pill.
From way back. You know
What's
these
going
guys
on with
forever,
you,
man.
What's going on?
Man, just grinding. Same thing, just doing doing a little different message, man.
Okay.
Still grinding, still in out there with the mic in my hand.
Okay.
Trying to make an impact, make noise, just doing it in a positive way, man.
You still Pop Pill?
Nah, man.
But you know what? Shout out to you because you are the reason I caught my first ex pill.
Oh, Lord. I gotta go hard now. What I'm doing now to make up for that.
I
I gotta go real hard to make up for that now. So.
I know it was a good time. I was a little nervous, but I listened to your song. I was like, oh, well, he sounds pretty fun. So I did it.
Yeah, I hate to hear that. But I'm gonna have to I'm about to go hard now.
But no, but
and try to make a difference, man.
Good or bad, that's a classic song.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely a classic song. Like they still play it.
Yeah, it was an amazing time, man. I'm not gonna lie. I learned so much from the music business. I learned to grind the hustle from them. You know what I mean? And there's no better place to learn, promotion and grind and hustle than the music business, man. It's so competitive. Going out in the corporate world, to me, it's kind of soft. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm used to, man, having to fight every day. You know what I mean?
How much money you made on Papa Pill?
Shows, man, I did good, bro. I did 6 figures in shows, man.
Yeah.
6 figures in shows. I would have done more, like we was talking about before, but I just kind of got, I hit that limit where, like the last 5 shows I did, they shot up the club.
Got tired of getting shot at.
Yeah, and I was just like, man, I ain't really.
Where were your shows at?
All over,
Here?
all over. I got booked, from here to Cali.
Yeah, when Papa Pill was out, you
It was
like,
a stripper hand back then.
yeah,
There was no one as a strip club. But it definitely was an experience, man. But I just got tired of the whole fruits of that, like seeing, what happened after that. When they got on pills, people got on pills, people got some off the prison, people got shot, all that. I started questioning. I'm like, really, what am I doing up here? This mic in my hand.
Right.
And I think like whoever has a mic in the hand, like we have here, we have a responsibility to the people out there to make sure that we're sending something into them that's gonna help them. You know what I mean? Because the world gonna give them something bad all day long. You know what I mean? And the people like us that have the ear of the streets and the ear of the people in the hood, we got to sow life into the people because they're not getting anywhere else. You know what I mean? So seeing the contrast now between like what I used to do and what I'm doing now, it really makes my vision for what I'm doing now crystal clear. And I'm very aggressive in what I do, bold, just like I was in music, but I'm bold to help these people now, just like I was bold to put my cell phone back in the day. Now I'm trying to, help these people get out of that lifestyle.
When the last time somebody called you White Dawg?
Man, people in Orlando still call me that all day. They don't know, but now I go by my real name, Dr. Billy Brooks.
You a real doctor? You like that little black kid with the mohawk?
Nah. I got a award honorary doctor.
Okay.
And went to school for ministry. I got a degree for that, but doing a lot of impact things, get awards and stuff like that. We're an honorary doctor for humanities and impact.
Okay. So you became a pastor?
I don't like to use that word.
Okay.
Because it's kind of boxed in when you hear that.
Okay.
Me,
that's like the rapping business. That's a lot of money in that too.
Well,
You don't pay no taxes either.
My calling's a little different.
A lot of girls, a lot of.
Well, I'm around a lot of people, man. Most of the people that come to me, man, they, what I do with motivation, man, what I call motivation, I'm a motivational artist, not a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
There's motivational speakers that just get up and tell you what to do. I like to bring creativity to what I do from music, songs, poetry. I wrap all that with the biblical undertone principles that are rooted in some songs. And so basically, I don't say pastor, man. I lead, I influence, I impact, success engineer. But God is always at the root and always at the core of what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
Right. So what made you stop the music business? What was like the final moment that you was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to change my life and do this now?
Two things. I got it on two sides. One, I started getting burned out. Seeing that lifestyle.
You mean like gonorrhea?
No, not that kind of burned out. Not that kind of burned out. I was pretty selective.
Okay.
I had a lot of selection, but I was pretty selective. You know what I mean? But no, in that world, I was getting burned out of the politics. The lifestyle, the Hollywood lifestyle that the world sells is like this is success, and really it ain't. You know what I mean? Like I never saw anybody happy in that world. We saw people that looked like they had money, looked like they had cars, looked like they had homes, but I never really saw anybody happy.
Well, you probably feel everybody happy.
Well, for a minute, you know what I mean? But what happens after that? You know what I'm saying? So, and the way it affected their lives. I never really saw anybody fulfilled. I never saw anybody really on fire for life. You know what I mean? And during the daytime, like around, I say 2000, 2001, man, I really became an avid reader, man. I started diving into these books, man, reading some of the most powerful books ever written. So I was reading all this powerful, life-changing stuff, but then I'd be in the club saying all this negative stuff, man. Right. So inside, I started having this inner war, this inner struggle going on. Like, in the daytime, man, you just read, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and you come in this club and you saying pop a pill and destroy it. And I'm like, it was like this inner war going on. My last album called Me Versus Me. Yeah. I mean, that's what it was.
Like you're contradicting.
Yeah, I was like, hold on, man, because like the new me was like, bro, you know better than this. You don't read it. Like if you didn't know before, that's one thing.
I think I had that album.
But once you get exposed to truth, man, you can't deny it anymore. When I was ignorant, I was just ignorant. But once you start reading the truth, man, how can you turn your back?
But you read so many books and you wrote one.
Exactly. At the time, I didn't know why I was reading. I felt underneath like, man, there's something you're doing this for, but like there's something you're going to be leading, but I didn't know what. It was just like I was just reading for nothing, but I knew there was something underneath. But I got out of the music from being burned out, and then also at that same time that I was getting burned out, my father passed away in front of me. He had a stroke right there in front of me, unexpected, man. And I saw him, the last 10 minutes of his life just struggle and leave to make the whole transition. And man, that just rocked my world. Because where we come from in life and in the streets and the rap game, man, we always try to push death away. And we talked about it on records, man, but to see your people really, really die and not be able to do nothing about it, that rocked me at the core. I'm like, you're not Superman. You could die at any time just like this. Because you didn't expect your daddy to die. He was in good health. He died in 10 minutes, bro. You could do the same thing, The real change came after he passed away. Like 2 days later, I went over to the funeral home, and my grandmother had bought these plots for us, right? There's 4 plots, one for her, my grandfather, my dad, and me. And we get over there to the funeral home, and the funeral director said, hey, come on, let me show you where I'm going to lay your father, right? So I get out there, and he's like, there's your granddaddy, because he passed away. Right. He's like, your grandmother's going to lay here when she passed away. There's where your daddy going to be, and this is where you going to be. Oh, and I was like, ooh. Yeah, I was like, ooh, because I see my dad die. Yeah. I don't see what that. When he's saying that, it's clicking. The 4 is like, oh yeah, one day when I'm 90, I'll be. Like I'm looking at this thing like, hold on, bro, what you just said?
So how does that work? Like with the plot, like you get like 4 for 1.
I don't know what you did, man. I ain't have nothing to do with it. Grandma bought it, but it stuck with me, man. I went inside, man, to the funeral home. Next thing, the funeral director said really shocked me too. He's like, what do you want on your dad's headstone? That's true. What do you want in the obituary, right? So I'm thinking to myself at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm hearing him say, here's where you want to lay. I'm still out there waiting to plot. Wow, man. So I'm thinking, what are they going to put in my obituary? What are they going to put on my headstone? That was the second question I started asking myself. And I was like, if I die right now, what are they going to put? Oh, this man pop pills, this lifestyle. He did nothing for the community. All he did was serve himself. All his whole life was built around Billy. That's it. You know what I mean? He didn't help nobody. Didn't want trying to put nobody on. Just trying to get what the world calls success. Right. And then 2 days later after that, the second thing that really rocked me and began me on this trajectory was my dad was an alcoholic growing up. 4 years he drank. My whole family, all of them alcoholics, right? So my senior year, my mother divorces him. She can't deal with it no more. So my dad that day he gets the divorce papers. He don't drink again for the next 15 years. And he gets sober, he goes out to the jails, the prisons, the meetings and all that, and starts helping these people get off addiction, like he did. So when we at the wake, they got his body laid out there, and people getting up there to talk. And they're like, your daddy came and got me at 2:30 in the morning on the side of the road. When nobody come get me, and I was drunk and I was passed out, and your daddy came got me. Another one said, at 4:30, your daddy came bailed me out when my whole family gave me the thing and wouldn't come. Yeah. Your daddy didn't give up on me. Another couple got up there and said, we was at the kitchen table about to file divorce. Got the paperwork on the table, and your daddy said, don't do it. And we still together 18 years later to your daddy. Like, this is the stuff they were saying. Now, what they weren't saying was anything about cars, the money, the change, the fame, none of that. And I'm like, hold on, I've been chasing all this, what the world told me was success, and what everybody out there on the outside was saying, go get, that you'd be happy if you got it, and not one person at the funeral mentioned anything about that. So I'm like, hold on, man, because now I put all this together. I see my dad pass away, so I realized life is precious and life is real. You're going to die one day. I seen what that looked like. Okay, right, at any time. Then I realized, okay, it's about legacy. Life is about legacy. What you leave to the people around you, whether you make this world a better place or not, that's what's really going to matter. That's your only real net worth, is what you sold into the person around you. Right. You know? So I'm like, okay, I got this wrong. Now, there's nothing wrong with money, cars, and fame and all that. I'm not saying that. But what I did is I had it in the wrong position. I had money here, people here. So I had to flip that. Put people here and the money here and the money here to build the kingdom, to build the people around me. You know what I'm saying? I just had to make that one little switch. You know, I didn't know how I was going to do it because I done got out of music. I was getting burned out. So my thing was, I said from that point forward and said, okay, what do you want your legacy to be when you die? What do you want me to say about you? That was a question I got up every single day. I didn't know the answer, but I knew the right question. See, questions will take you anywhere you want to go. You just got to have the right question. So I started asking that question every single day. What do you want to do? What do you want to be remembered for? How do you want to live? You know, what this season, this next season, what do you want to be? You know, so that from that point on, man, I just kept asking that question over and over.
So what was the answer for you?
It didn't come right away. It came like almost 8-9 years later, man. Because see, my father had, you know, the way he had died traumatically in front of me, it caused panic attacks and PTSD. It shocked my whole brain because I wasn't expecting it like that, right? So for the next 8 years, I was struggling with panic attacks. Every single day I had a panic attack. I went to the hospital 12 times in 9 months, bro, thinking I was going to die. Every time I got a twitch in my body, I'm going to the hospital. I mean, they knew me by my first name. They said, oh, here come Billy.
So it was like hypothetical.
Yeah, like, I mean, like if you was talking about, man, you know, I got cancer, oh, I got it too.
Yeah,
right,
or your uncle died of a stroke. Oh, I'm going to die too. You know what I mean? Like, I just took it on right there. I'd be in a Walmart line, and here's somebody in front of me. And it sent me into, you know, to panic attack. So I went from being on stage in front of 20,000 people down here at Cali Orange to being in my room for 2 weeks at a time. I wasn't come out that way because I was scared I was going to have a panic attack.
So was that partly depression too, though?
Yeah, depression happened from, he died in December 30, 2007. The depression was like 1 year long. I don't even remember 2008. The only thing I remember 2008 was my granddaddy got diagnosed with terminal cancer in like June or July that year. And that triggered panic attacks. Like I was just in a dark depression, didn't feel anything. And then when he got the diagnosis that he was terminally ill and slowly started to decline, that's what started triggering the panic attack. Because it kept bringing me back to that hospital room when my dad died. So like, you know, every time he would get worse, the panic attacks would start to increase and all that. So 2008 was just straight dark depression. And then from then on, it was all out war with PTSD and panic attacks from 2009 all the way to the end of 16.
Shout out to you for coming through that. That's a lot of
Well, that's where really I learned how to have a real relationship with God. Because what happened is I tried everything the world told me to do. I went to counseling, I went to therapy, you know, they tried to give me medication, all of that.
So how did you overcome it?
Man, I got to the end of me. I did everything because you know, when you feel that bad, and I felt, because here's the thing, I felt literally like I was going to die. I'm talking about die, bro. Like, just imagine the most scariest time you've ever had in your life. I would have those moments for hours at a time. And they weren't here. Nobody could get in and be like, hey, I'm going to help you with that today. No. It's you. That's it. I got to the point. Yeah, I was like, to the point, you either conquer this mind or it's going to conquer you. So, I mean, I went years now. Like, I'm talking about praying every day, losing everything, name diminishing, people falling off, money getting tight, all this. You know, I had a lot of money put up for music, but it was, you know, I wasn't able to work no more. I wasn't able to grind.
You still got some money put up for music?
Oh, yeah.
Let me get $100.
12% interest. You know, I gotta be like the bank. You get a bank 12%, let me get it now.
You know, I learned this from a woman. Like I said, give me $100.
Right.
See, I gave a woman some money, right? And I said, hey, you say you're gonna get that money back? She said, no, I didn't. I said, give me. I ain't say nothing about giving it back.
Yeah, that's real. Not a loan, none of that. Ain't no
I'm
loan.
try that when I get home.
But man, I went through this journey, man, and what happened? I got to the end of me, and I tried everything they said. Went 6, 7 different therapists, tried all different kind of things. I remember I started doing this one thing that changed my life. Like when I had these panic attacks, I have all this energy on the inside wound up. So I started putting on my shoes when I feel this way, and I'd go around this my neighborhood. I'd walk this long 1 mile block around my neighborhood, and I just go out there and try to get rid of that energy. So I'd get out there and I just start cussing at God, yelling at God, mad at God, sad at God, quiet at God. I mean, like every emotion, you know, that you can have. Yeah, I mean, because, bro, like, it's years. Like, just imagine, like, you know, nothing is getting better. It's getting worse every day. And I'm talking about, like, 1 year go by, you think, okay, it's going to get better. 2 years go by, 3 years go by, 4 years. And then you start thinking, well, this is my life. This is where it's going to be. It ain't going to be nothing else. You know what I mean? And you start thinking, well, the good days is over with, man. The music day is over with, bro. You don't have the best of your life. You got to fall back into obscurity and do nothing and all. You know what I mean? Your mind start playing that game with you. And I remember going out on that block, and I got to the end of me, and I was like, Lord, I ain't got nothing. I'm not, you know, in the church. I haven't been in church and all that kind of stuff. And I come out to him, and I'm like, all I got is this. If you heal me, I will go out and tell the world who did. That's it. That's all I got.
Did you believe in that and stuff?
Man, I didn't have no other choice.
No, I'm telling you before this.
I mean, you know, your mom raised me, and dad raised me in the church. So I went to church for about 13, 14. I believed in God, you know. But I wasn't walking in God, you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't tell me when I was doing music. I could carry my Bible with me, going in and just pop a pill with my Bible with me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you couldn't tell me God didn't exist.
I mean, God gave you the pills.
Yeah. Or the enemy. But I'd be out there, man, and be doing these shows, man, and it's kind of funny because I know God had patience, man, because I believed in God. You couldn't tell me He didn't exist. But the thing was, like, you know, I just fully thought, like, okay, you do that when you get old. Yeah. You go do that life. Like,
I'm getting this money right now, God. I'll holler at you.
And also at the same time, bro, to be honest, man, I was addicted to that lifestyle, bro. Like, I didn't know how. Like, ain't nobody I knew was getting out of that. Like, you know, you got money, you gonna walk away from that? Like, you crazy, you work their whole life to get that. You know what I mean?
What you gonna do?
Yeah, what you gonna do? So, I mean, me and Pup, Pup used to come do the shows with me, man, when you know, be the hype man. And we'd circle up and pray before I go out there and say, Papa, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't have an understanding of that, man. But I got out there on that block one day, and I was like, well, you know, God, I tried everything. I'm with the enemy. If you heal me, I go into the world. Yeah. And that's all God needs was invitation. Once I made that commitment, he started moving. Well, not overnight, but everything began to transition, and the initiation of the healing began. Because then he brought me the right therapist. I got a young therapist just came out of college over at UCL, but he was passionate about healing.
He was real.
Yeah, he was real. See, and I understood, okay, you know what? I've been around guys because I've been going to all these different therapists trying to find. I've been around people been at Harvard, you know, all these Ivy League therapy school, all that, you know, top, you know, colleges and all that. Couldn't get, you know, connected with it. Couldn't figure it out. This guy comes in, I'm like, bro, you passionate. I recognize that. Yeah. Because I knew that I understand you. You might not have the experience that these guys got.
But I can talk to you.
Yeah. But here's the thing, I knew he was passionate and I knew I wanted it. See, you gotta have a why. You gotta be wanted, right? And I was so desperate, bro. I was in the trenches. You know what I mean? Like,
it don't matter how passionate he is.
Yeah, I gotta want it. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no atheists and foxholes, they say, we're in wartime, right? Everybody believes. So, I mean, I'm at the point like, bro, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I will do whatever you tell me to do. But we will stay in this thing until we figure it out. I can't give up. This is it. If we don't figure it out here, then I don't know what's going to happen. So, man, I go every week with him, man, and we started working, man. Slowly, bro. This wasn't no, like, overnight thing. You know, I learned patience when I went through this. The opposite of in music, because in music, it was like, get on as fast as you can. Like we talking about earlier. Like, bro, you got 3 months to get this record. Get every job.
You say you learned patience dealing with this.
Yeah. In music, it was all about, like, yesterday.
You must have never dated a black woman. You definitely got to learn some patience with that.
Not all the time.
Look at it.
Tell me about this book, man. It's Blessed and Unstoppable.
Yeah, that's my new book right here. I don't know where the camera's at, but
you just brought one?
You only brought one.
That one's gonna be mine.
We'll just check her.
This one's gonna be mine.
How long did it take you to read that?
How long
does it
take you to read it?
It's gonna take you 31 days because it's broken into 31 days.
31 days?
Yeah, it's broken like a daily devotional.
Right, I will just read.
What's the last book you read?
Blessed and Unstoppable.
Man, I'm reading right now. I went back and picked another book up I read several times called Awaken a Giant by Tony Robbins. And
that's a dope book.
Because it's about belief systems changing your mindset. I've read it many times, but man, it fit my life where I was at, you know, recently, and I'm like, man, I need to make a few changes on my belief systems and my cognitive structure. I'm gonna pick this book up because I know this man a massive change. So you know, I started reading that one this past week. Coming back from Ohio, I was speaking up there and I got the book when I was on the road. But this book right here, Blessed and Unstoppable, it will change your life. See, all the principles that I learned out there on that block when I was trying to overcome the struggle, man, it gave me a lot of time to think, a lot of time to read, alone time, all that, bro. The stuff that got me through that, these principles apply to anything, whether it's music, broadcasting, which y'all doing here, we do the show, whatever it is, entrepreneurism, whatever, the principles of universal apply to everything. And I learned it out there on that block the hard way. When I tell you a little story, man, at one point in time, I called AT&T, man, and I'm like, I'm going through these panic attacks, and I'm going through a couple of years, and I'm like, something's wrong with my phone. And they're like, what you talking about? I said, man, something, check my phone, this thing ain't working, the signal ain't working, And they're like, no, sir, we checked everything's fine.
Right.
And I said, well, the phone ain't ringing a week.
Yeah.
See, all the music people, man, all the people in the entourage, all the ones that were riding the limos, the VIP club, the ones that was around, all them that done fell off.
Right.
But so then I got to realize, man, it was just me. Like all that time, like, you think you got there. Because the higher I went in music, the bigger the circle got, right? But the less people really with you. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn that the hard way, man. At first I got real bitter. I'm like, man, what are these people when you leave them? You know what I mean? But they just didn't have a relationship. Because I was in the same thing until I, got rocked by my dad, my passing. Had that not happened, I might have still been doing that lifestyle.
So let me ask you, how you found yourself from therapy with this one last young guy who had
Right. How I got
to
you.
Billy?
Okay, I'll tell you what happened. See, after my father passed away that week, then I got back. He was in Alabama, we buried him. 2 weeks later, I come back to Florida and I go to church for the first time. I start going on Wednesday nights because I slept in. I don't do the early thing. We up all night, right? So the Wednesday night was the only night they had evening service. So I'm at the evening service on Wednesday. Then I find out about this men's group meeting on Monday night. So I started going to this group every Monday night trying to get over these panic attacks and things like that. A few years later, they did this college program, came to the church for Bible ministry. You can go to school and college, for Bible ministry. I went to that not to be a preacher, not to speak, not any of that. I was trying to find God because I'm trying to get my healing. And I knew the word was true, but I just didn't understand how to use what was in there and how to fix me with it. Yeah. And although I was in the church, I still wasn't getting what I needed to get that out of the Bible. You know what I mean? So I knew God's word was truth, and I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe if I went to this college thing, and maybe if I dug into the teaching, then I would figure out where my healing was, right? So I started going to this college thing. 2 years later, graduated. 2 years later than that, I never used the degree. Never was trying to speak. None of that. I was like, boy, this degree will look good on the wall. I wasn't gonna use it. I was just trying to get healed.
Oh, I got a degree. I'm good.
Right. That's right. No, I wasn't even that. I was just trying to get healed. I didn't really care about that. I wasn't in it for that. I made straight A's because I was hungry though, and I was like, well, I could have done this in school if I'd applied myself. But see, now I'm in a state where I'm receptive and I would do it. Like in school, I was running the street, all that, didn't want it. Right. But so I learned a lot of lessons through that. But like 2 years later, I'm still at this men's group and just starting to overcome the panic attacks. And the guy who was leading the group wasn't gonna be able to teach one night. He said, hey, when you come, teach the group. Now the group was like an hour and a half long teaching. And I'm like, no, what about that?
What y'all paying?
What about that? Because that group really helped me.
Okay.
Like, when I was in a bad place, these people kind of gathered around me. And so I was like, I ain't teaching that. Boy, get up there for an hour and a half and talk. Not me, like right? To speak, no. And it's kind of funny because I've been in front of 20,000 people rapping all night, never thought twice. Right. But to be up there with no music and just talking, and all different age groups too, from 18 to 80 up there.
Did any of them guys knew White Dawg? Like, did they know you?
I was kind of embarrassed of it. Really? Yeah, because I'm up in church, bro. They know I did poetry, all this.
Oh, man.
I tell you what got me though, Pastor found out. We had a young pastor. He found out who I was. And one day I'm on Wednesday night in the back row, right? Because I'd always sit in the back. I didn't want nobody to see me. Right? I'm sitting in the back, and Pastor crossed the church, way across. We in a big church, so it was way across. He said, "White Dawg!" I'm like, I was like, man. I tell my wife, I'm like, oh Lord, they know who I am. Because I just was thinking people was automatically gonna judge me or this.
Some people do that.
So that's immediately, man, I was just wanting to crawl under the pew, bro. Like,
no.
Although it should have been looked at as a picture because I came from that life kind of movie. Right. But the devil be on you, be like, trying to.
Did they ever ask you to perform Papa Phil?
No.
You don't have a clean version of that?
Yeah, on the real now. But it's still the same thing.
Matter of fact, I remember the radio version that was on the radio.
Yep.
On the real now.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. I was
Oh,
thinking.
like one of the jams, right?
Yeah, it was on 102 and all that. Like I just thought that was the strangest. It was the strangest.
Yeah.
Like it sounds strange. Like you.
Yeah, it didn't look
Yeah,
used to hear it. But man, like they asked me to do this group, and I fought him and fought him. I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. He kept on. So finally I said, all right, I'll do what I do. So I studied all week. Man, I was nervous. I was like, what I'm gonna do, you know. But I get up there that Monday night. I said like 2 words, man. It was like boom on the inside, like a nuclear bomb went off, bro. And like this fire rose up in me, bro. When I spoke, man, it was like the words was coming. I was like, where that come from? And it was just like fire, and everybody in there was moving. It wasn't no like sit down, like we'd always been quiet, nobody moved. All of a sudden this group was just like this.
He's like, yeah!
Yeah, I mean, but it was different.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know, it was just like, man, people were getting freed up in there. I was just like crazy different. I get home, man, I'm like, I talked for 2 hours.
Really?
Not 1.5. I ran over. Then we talked another hour when I got done. And it's a Monday night. We stay at church till 11 o'clock. You know people don't stay at church till 11 o'clock on Monday. So I was like, yeah, I'm like, this is, you know, I've been looking for my calling now since I got out of music. I had this big void, you know, because for 17 years I had this solid one thing I got up every single day and worked toward. And now all of a sudden I don't have it. So for, you know, almost 8 years while I'm out there on that block, I'm saying, God, show me my calling, you know what I mean? And here I am on this Monday night saying, this thing feels different. Like I've been on stage in front of 20,000 people, but never felt the way I did right now.
So you would say like the motivational speaking?
Yeah, man, I was.
Than performing?
Oh yeah, it's way different. Now I'll explain that
It's
to
more
you.
powerful, probably.
I'll explain it to you why. But like I didn't understand it at the time, right? So first thing goes on in my mind, like I'm an entrepreneur, right? Like okay, you know, where's the money?
Where the money at?
It wasn't about trying to make money off the people, but it, you know, like if it's a job, like I'm looking for my career.
Yeah, where the money at?
No, I'm thinking like, well, how does it become a job? You know,
Right.
and like how's it? And I'm like, I don't see it. So I dismissed it, right? So about every month or so, this guy would come back to me like, hey, I need you to fill in, do Monday night. So every time I do it, and boom, every time I get up there, boom, what a crowd would light up. People connect, man, and words was coming out of my mouth. All the years I've been reading. Right. See, I started reading 2001, 2015, 16, that stuff started coming out. They said what you put in will eventually come out.
Right.
All of a sudden, I didn't even know, I wasn't thinking it would just come out. And people say, how you knew that? I don't know, bro. God just anointed that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Next thing I know, bro, I'm living way beyond my years and stuff I'm saying. You know, and it ain't got nothing to do with me. I realized, okay, God's anointing's on this thing because where the fire is, where the energy is, God is too. So I'm like, but still, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I'm not going to do this thing. It's just a hobby. I'm just giving back with this, you know? But they asked me a few weeks later, they said, hey, can you teach the whole summer?
Whoa.
Now, it's 13 weeks. And I'm like, 13 lessons? Ooh, that's a lot of coming up with stuff.
Right.
But to me, they became songs.
Right.
Because I was a writer. So I like every lesson, I was, I get to write another song. Get to get back into my creativity. So it would take me literally like 10 hours of prayer to get ready for the 2 hours I was going to do on Monday night.
10 hours,
Right.
right.
I would do a lot of prep, man. I want to make sure when I'm up there, you know, I got people 80 years old questioning what I say. Now, I can't leave no, you know.
Yeah,
I got to be ready. I got to be ready. Right. And God
So you
wants
were
us to
praying
prepare.
10 hours.
No, I'll be in that word, developing that
that's
lesson.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Whatever God would give me that, I wouldn't even know what I was going to do. And God, you know, I'd be all week, I'm like, man, I'm getting close, what am I going to do? And then I get the idea. God would say, you know, 7 steps you can break through, teach them that. And then I go, you know, okay, what's the 7 steps to find it? And I dig in, and God will show me. And next thing you know, Monday night, I'm laying it down. But I started thinking, if I'm going to be doing 13 weeks, 10 hours a week, that's 130 hours. That's a degree at college, bro.
Right.
I'm like, how can I turn this into something if I'm going to tie all this time up in it? And then God revealed to me, he's like, remember that book you've been talking about on the inside that you've been flirting with about writing? Take all that 10 hours you're doing every single week. Take that stuff that you're going to be teaching and put that in a little book. So the stuff in that book right there was the stuff that I taught during that first summer. So at the end of the 13 weeks, man, I had it. See, that was an entrepreneur. See, like once you find your calling, like most people chase the money, right? And then try to figure their calling into that, right? And this is the conventional way, and they never find it that way. I look for the fire, the calling, the anointing, the thing that makes you feel alive. Then I brought my entrepreneurism into it, capitalism into it, and said, okay, now how do I package that up? You know, this book is done so good. I ain't never had to ask for money, dog, from no church, no nothing, no donations. No pastor had it around.
Now, how long did it take for you to write it, or did you already?
That whole summer. Yeah. It was about 3 months there, but then I had flirted on and off like before a little bit. So altogether it was probably about 6 months. Get done. You know?
That's pretty good.
So my thing was I still had businesses, being an entrepreneur, I had cell phone shops, mix CD stores, all that kind of stuff. But I was trying to get out of that because I wasn't passionate about it no more. But all my feet were in the street. That's where my money was coming from. Right. And I didn't know legitimate stuff. So I'm like, how do I get out of this? So when I finished that book, I said, I don't know what you want me to do, God. But the day I finished that book, I'm going to sell them businesses. I'm going to get out and just trust you. And that's what I did. The day I finished that book, that week, I sold the businesses, bro, and I was out in November. Now, January, February, I'm floating around still trying to figure out, okay, what you want to do, God? I quit, and I'm trusting Him. Something came to me, it's like, remember when you used to walk around that block when you had them panic attacks? You used to listen on your iPod, you used to listen to YouTube, you used to listen to motivational videos. Because see, like, my therapist had told me, like, okay, you in here 1 hour a week with me. There's 6 days and 23 hours left during the week till you get back to me. So what I want you to do is listen to this positive stuff during the day to keep your mind focused on the right thing. So I started listening to motivational videos, Les Brown and Tony Robbins and all these old guys, and I just be walking around the block, pouring this stuff in. God brought that back to my attention. Now see, when I was walking around that block, I was listening to that stuff like a music producer. And I'm like, I'd hear them off, the vocals off. Because what happens in these motivational videos on YouTube, man, most of the time it's somebody speaking somewhere solo with a mic with no music. They take the acapella and just try to fly it over some cinematic epic music, and it don't fit. They going up and the music going down, they don't end on time, all this stuff. And me as a producer, songwriter, I'm like, man, that's like nails on the chalkboard. I'm like, I want to hear, but like the stuff they saying good, but
take this off.
I'm like, So God brought that back to my attention. Like, remember that stuff you used to hear? I'm like, yeah, okay. So I was like, I wonder how I'm gonna sound on the mic saying that kind of stuff, positive stuff, the stuff I'm preaching, teaching, and all. How would I sound on the mic? Because it's a certain tonality, on the mic that's either appealing or not. So as a producer, I'm like, I don't know. Let me hear what I sound like doing that. Back then, Instagram used to let you have this little 1 minute video, right? That's all they let you have 1 minute. So I was like, okay, let me test this out. I threw on Drake's Energy beat. Got a lot of energy. I just threw that on. And no script, nothing. I just talked for 1 minute about faith, And I stopped and listened back to it, and I was like, that'll be all right. Because producer, I knew, I was like, that'll be all right. I just need to mold it now. I got to practice. I got to mold and scope, but I'll be all right. So I did that for about 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then 1 minute became 3 minutes, became 5 minutes, became 7 minutes, 20 minutes, to just give me the mic. I don't care how long it is.
Right. Rock out.
Yeah, it's like what it was. But I did not understand the gravity of what God was doing at the time. I'm on this mic, what you were talking about, I was going to get back to that. I'm sitting there on the mic one day, and I remember something coming to me. I mean, they just recorded, thinking I'm just doing motivational videos, right? I got 200 followers at this time, bro. Nobody even listening to me. And I'm behind this mic, and something came to me and said, behind this mic, you could change the world. Now, that was different. And let me tell you why. Because 17 years that I've been rapping and producing and DJing and on-air personality, all that, 17 years behind the mic, I was trying to change my world. Not the world.
Right.
So I remember sitting in front of that mic and all this stuff started flashing. Martin Luther King, God, and Winston Churchill. Like, this is your responsibility. Take it seriously. When you're behind this mic, you know who's on the other side listening because you've been on that block and you know what it is, bro. You know the seriousness of it, the people out there in the struggle. This is not just like me getting on there saying, y'all can do it. No, bro, there's people on this other end about to die. Yeah, you know what I mean? And
you need an organ right now.
Exactly, man. When I first got on the mic, see, I thought like my audience was people that just want to get successful in life, right? Like, just want to go to the next level. So that's who I'm talking to. I found out by the emails coming in, it wasn't them, it was the people that were fighting for their life. Like people, man, I'm on the verge of committing suicide.
They don't know what to do.
Like they was exact place I was at on that block. And then God made it clear to me in my spirit, like, you know these people. You've been there.
Talk to them.
Yeah, this was part of the preparation because before you can speak life, you must understand death. And then it all cooked. Ooh, that's why I see that. Because I had to understand the seriousness of what I was going to be attacking, what I was going to be, trying to save these people from. You have to see it up close before you can ever preach it with authority. Right. And by me seeing what I saw, and it was like, okay, now I get it. Another thing that happened right before that too, I was at college there on a Monday night, and I get a phone call, and it's my sister-in-law. She's like, hey, got some bad news. Your wife's brother hung himself. We need you to go home and tell her because she's by herself. We don't want to call her and be by herself. I'm like, and I'm having panic attacks, right? I'm like, oh, and I'm like, I'm driving home in the car and I'm shaking. I'm yelling at God. I'm like, why are you You know what I mean? Like, they don't prepare us for this.
Yeah.
In school, they don't prepare you for this. And man, I'm crying. I'm like having panic attacks and all this. Years later, man, this was on a Monday night. Years later, God will reveal to me, he's like, you know, I gave you that message of death. Now you're going to be on Monday night giving that message of life. See, and it all started to click. Okay, now, so when I speak now, I speak from a different place. I speak with authority because I know who I'm speaking to. You know what I mean? It's not, it's not a game. I'm not just like, oh, you know, I'm like, hope y'all guys. No, bro, I understand. The guy's got stage 4 cancer in the hospital, or the guy just came out of a coma for 12 weeks and he's playing the videos in the ICU because if he don't get his mind right, he ain't getting out of that place. So this, I took it real serious and I understood behind that mic, you know, the responsibility, what I was mentioning before, the responsibility that comes along with it. You know, it's more than just us. You know what I mean? And something that really, really resonated and changed my life, where I really became the world-known motivational speaker. I was, in the beginning, I wasn't making the money, right? Because I'm only 3 months in, I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do. Right. And money getting a little tight now. You know, I got sold the businesses, had a little money to sit on, but ain't nothing, you know, arrived yet.
Right.
So my wife and me, we arguing about money. You know, and the enemy will use anybody around. Like, she didn't know what she was saying, but the enemy got up in the mouth sometime and we started sowing death because he understood what I was about to do and the impact I was about to make. Because wherever there's growth and expansion, wherever that's going to be, that's where the enemy's going to jump off and try to attack me. So he started having her mouth so deaf and stuff over me and put pressure on me. And it was like, why don't you get with reality and get a real job, get a 9 to 5, you know? And I'm an entrepreneur. I hadn't had a job like that since 1995. For real, I've always been the man. Like, you understand? Like, if I wanted money, I had to figure out, okay, you know, sell some CDs, sell some church, like sell some cell phone, bro. I could see money just laying around. That's the way my mind would work, you know? So she's saying all this stuff, and I'm like, man, you know, I'm getting angry. And, you know, when finances get tight, you know, parents, you know, spouses and stuff, we get into it sometimes. And man, I remember going in there one day, because you know, the devil had put the right words in there, stinging me. And I remember I'm at this crossroad, like, okay, 9 to 5, ordinary life, job life over here, or your dreams and conquering the world over here. But you don't see nothing over here. It's just a dream. But this right here is reality. Everybody in your world, they doing this over here. And I'm at this crossroad, and the enemy's like, don't you just get that 9 to 5? And over here it's like, well, don't you settle for that? You know you're bigger than that. You know, why don't you just do what everybody else do? Why you gotta be so hard-headed and difficult? And this one over here saying, no, man, the world waiting on you. You know, it was going back and forth. It was a struggle. And I was at this crossroad, and I remember going in on that mic. And that day I just started talking to myself because I had to remind myself who I was. And I just started saying, man, I was born a champion, raised a champion. I got champion in my bloodline. I put the right music on, bro, and it just came together. And that video, I posted that video, and a bunch of channels, motivational channels, took it, played it, kind of like DJs. Right. Bro, it went circling the globe. Millions of plays. Yeah, and next thing I know, bro, my book took off, bro, on Amazon, top seller, all that, bro, 26 countries. Bro, I started getting booked all over the world to speak, man. But the thing was, I had to get in front of that mic, and I had to initiate it with my mouth. Right. The word says death and life and the power of the tongue, those that love it. So eat the fruit thereof. I'm behind that mic, and I'm saying to the word what I am before what I am. So you have to say it before you see anything. You know, your mouth is the water. You know, God will give you the seed, and you have to water that thing with your mouth. How much you gonna water? So I got up there and I said, with authority, this is not who I am. You know, and in the message, there's a battle going on. It was called Inside the Mind of the Champion. And inside you hear me say, like, why don't you get a 9 to 5? And then I'll say, because I'm the head and not the tail. I'm the bull, not the low. You know, say, well, you don't got no money. You really believe all that stuff you saying? Remember the Lord thy God, for it's him that gives you the power to gain wealth. I was going back and forth with myself. That's the real stuff that was going on in my head. You listen to that video, you will hear the actual struggle. I said everything that my wife said to me that the enemy was using. I said everything on that video, and I showed how to respond to it. And next thing you know, man, God, you know, stuck to what he said he would do. And I spoke that thing, and that thing took off, man. And I'm here today with it, man. Now, you know, 40,000 followers on YouTube doing this, 20 million views. Wow. It's growing every day, bro. You know, speaking all over now, getting paid top dollar, man. 3-4 times what I was doing music, bro.
So let me get
$100.
What are your books? You know your book sales? Man,
it's double digits, man. It's up there. It's up there.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, basically, I could do this full time now. You know what I mean? Don't have to worry about money. People call me to do gigs. I'm doing prison, stuff like that. I don't charge for that. You know what I mean? The success, see, God provides the provision. If he gives you vision, he's going to provide the provision. And that's what he did. He gave me the provision before he even gave me the vision. You see what I'm saying? He took care of the money. So I didn't have to go in and beg. I don't pass the hat around. That ain't how God wants us to be. We the head, not the tail, above, not below. You know, Isaac planted his crops that year. He harvested 100 times more grain than he planted. For the Lord blessed him as well, continue to grow. That's the kind of blessing that's on it. That's why I titled that book Blessed and Unstoppable. You know what I mean? Because this is what God does. Now, here's the thing. When I was sitting in that church, when I first came into that church and I had all those panic attacks, bro, okay, I accepted Christ back into me. I was blessed, but I wasn't unstoppable. I couldn't figure out how to get out of this stuff. And I looked around, everybody in the church, none of them was unstoppable. None of them was reflecting what was going on in there, what God said we had in there. None of them was doing. I'm like, why is this, man? You know, God's word is true, so why is it not reflecting? Then it came to me, you know, my people perish for lack of knowledge. It's in here, but you got to have knowledge and understanding and wisdom to know how to draw it out and take it out on Monday to that job you're in or whatever it is you're going through, a marriage struggle, a health battle, whatever it is. You got to know how to take this and bring it into that. If you don't know that, you're blessed. Yes, when we go to heaven, we'll be blessed, but you're not going to be unstoppable. Now my calling on life is, you know, to sow faith, hope, and love, to sow encouragement and inspiration, but to show people how to use what's in here in their everyday life and how to get the fruit of it. So when you align with the principles laid out in here, you become unstoppable.
Because a lot of people don't know how to use it. They
That's
ask
right,
for it
that's
and
right,
pray for
that's
it,
right.
but then when they get it, they don't know how to use it.
See, the church nowadays, what they do, 90% of the people are left at salvation. Like, you know, I accept Christ. In my life, okay, I accept him. You come to the altar, you get Christ. And that's as far as they go. Mm-hmm. They never get taught, like, okay, let me show you how to make what this word say. Let me show you how to make it work in your life. Let me change your life. Because, you know, the church, still the same. They accept Christ. 90% still broke. Still struggling in marriage. Still sick. None of them walking in the power. None of them walking in the blessings. None of that. Why? My people perish for lack of knowledge. See, we got to pull the knowledge out of there using every day. And that's what I did in this book. I broke down 31 laws, success laws that God put in place. And each one of these laws, if you align with them, you'll bear fruit. You know? Like, for instance, I'll give you a good example. We learned this in music. You know, create a powerful vision. The word says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Okay, just like this show here, you got to understand and know what it is that you want from this show. You got to have a vision before it ever becomes a vision. And it's kind of fitting we got inner vision right here. Because it all starts with that. You know, God says, where there is no vision, my people perish. Where there's no vision, the people perish.
Right? They want to go to church on
Right, so when we did music, think about it, man, I got the album idea before I ever did it. And all the rules were there. All the things were at play, but I just didn't recognize that I was tapping into something that's always been there.
Yeah, because you were one track,
Right.
trying to get this album done.
Right, exactly. You
understand
understand the laws that you're tapping in, we were just walking through.
So the natural laws in play even if you don't know it.
Right, it's like gravity. Like whether you know gravity or not, you pick that cup up and you let go, it's going to drop.
Right.
And it's going to work all around the world. If I go to Africa and I take a cup and I let it go, it's going to drop there too. Because the law is universal. It don't matter who uses it, where you at, use it, it will bear fruit. These laws are the same thing, just like gravity. God put all these things in place, man. For instance, like chapter 1, the first day one is detox emotion. Okay, what that means is you got to get all that bitterness, that anger, that resentment, that all that junk that the enemy's put in. You got to get that stuff out. You can't build success on that junk. The higher you want to build that high rise of your life for success, the stronger that foundation must be. And if the inside is rotten to the core, you can have a beautiful building, but that thing gonna come down. And I learned that because, see, I blame myself when my father passed away. Because the day he passed away, the doctor came in. He had a stroke like 12 days before. He was getting better, but got out of the ICU, went to this rehabilitation place so that he could get his arm back, control of his arm and leg. He couldn't move, after that stroke. So we come in there one day and the doctor's like, it might be a good idea to get your dad and roll him out in the wheelchair outside so he can get some sun, right? Because he's been, just cooped up. So I come over there with a nurse and I move Dad and we put him in this wheelchair. What we didn't know was he had a blood clot in his leg, and as soon as I moved him, the pressure in his body changed and that blood clot went straight in his lung and he couldn't breathe. So man, for them 8 years I'm going around that block, I'm saying, you killed your dad. Yeah, it's my fault, man. So I had to detox, bro. I had to get that out of me. At the end of the day, God decides when we go. You know what I'm saying? So like I had to come to that understanding of that, But it sure didn't feel good, man. I blame myself for that. You know what I mean? For a long time, bro. Everything, I started thinking I wasn't worthy. I started acting timid. Where music and my arts, and I was real aggressive and bold. I started becoming timid and hesitant, and you can't win like that, no matter what you do. And I had to get that stuff out of me before I could start doing what I'm doing today. But all these principles are in there, and I don't just tell you the principle. I give you the action steps so you can start, applying it to your life. You know, like for instance, I just told you about detox emotion. One of the steps in there is pull out a sheet of paper and write down on paper anybody that pops in your mind that has ever done you wrong in your life. Anybody. Just write their name down. You know? So I started going through my life. I was like, okay, who did me wrong? You know, I write the people current. But next thing you know, names from like 20 years ago would come up. And when I was in 3rd grade, and I'm like, that teacher that called me a name, and I still remember. See, all that stuff is down in there.
Told me I could rap that.
Right. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, bro. All that stuff was in there, and these stuff would start coming up to my mind, and they've been there for years, affecting my life. You know, when I was 3 years old, my mother took me to this daycare, and I don't know what happened, but they labeled me the little trouble kid, the bad kid, the one I guess hyper or whatever.
Because you black.
That's what it is. You know, that's what it is. They knew back then, right? But I'm running around, and then they like, this the trouble kid. So when my mom would leave, you know, the teachers, man, they would tie me up to this chair. Like me and a couple other dudes were trouble. Nah, like all kind of sweaters, material, whatever they had. They would tie us up, and everybody be running around. Just be sitting there like this for 2 hours, 3 hours at a time, because they like, oh, Billy gonna run around.
Yeah,
it'll be hard to manage.
Yeah.
I'm 3 years old. How you gonna be a trouble kid? You don't even know what trouble is, right? But these people don't want to deal with it, right? And they tying us up, man. And I remember the teacher would come and sit down and have everybody in a circle right there, and the teacher would be in the middle, and they'd be reading these little stories, you know, like, you know, Cinderella, all this kind of stuff, whatever. Dr. Seuss, whatever. And I'm sitting over there like this, me and the other dudes, and like all them things, like, man, I wish I was in that circle. But the thing was, from that point on in my life, all the way up to I was 40-something years old, I said, I gotta get back in the circle. And I thought if I got, you know, in football in high school, I thought if I was the starter, I'd be in that circle. I thought when I did martial arts, junior Olympic champion, I thought, well, you know, if I get real good, if I dominate, then they'll let me in. I'll be good enough to get back in, right? You know, this is how your enemy work. You know what I'm saying? This was 3 or 4 years old. My whole music career was really just about, are you good enough to be in the circle? You know? And one day I'm out on that block still, because after I got with the parents, I continued walking. Now I'm just talking to God about what you want me to do in my life now. Now it's a different conversation. Now it's like we're going to go out and conquer. You know what I mean? So I'm out there with him one day, and he's like, you remember you was talking about that circle thing, you know? It's like, I removed you from the circle. And I couldn't understand it. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you can't do what I'm about to have you do and what you've been called to do with the mindset of the circle. I removed you on purpose so you didn't think like them. You ain't supposed to be them. To create world change and to go out and do things, you can't be in that normal, everyday thinking. So what you thought was a curse for 30, 40 years or whatever, that was a blessing. You just didn't understand it. You know what I mean? But I fought with things like this, and at Detox Emotional, I had to get this stuff out of me. Another thing that really changed my life, 1995, 96, I dropped my first album. I'm with this chick, I've been with her 5 years, and her mama couldn't stand me, you know, because there was no money coming in at this time. This is before I really got my hustle on. I started hustling because of this.
This was before Thug Ride?
Yeah, this was the first album, just White. It was called White Dawg.
It was called White Dawg.
It was in Miami. I had, you know, some records on the radio then, you know, but I didn't have the money yet. You know, I had to grind, but the money hadn't showed up. Yeah. And I didn't really know how to maximize the opportunities yet. I'm young. Music, yeah, I'm just dropping music, but I'm hustling every night. Now I'm in that studio 12 hours a day, 12 hours a night, every night. I'm talking about every night. This, you know, my girlfriend, I didn't understand why mama didn't like me at the time, but boy, it really hurt me at the time. Mom just would say the nasty stuff to me, like, oh, you no good, no job, you know, all that, right? Like,
was she black?
No. But boy, she could tear me with her mouth. She was like what I do, but negative.
Especially around that time.
Boy, I'm telling you.
95? It wasn't, Eminem wasn't out then.
No,
so
95.
White rappers back then was just like,
there wasn't nobody after.
Is you crazy?
Nobody after villainize.
Like,
from 92, yeah, from 92 on.
What about Marky Mark?
He was the same time, 92.
Why he didn't count?
Because he wasn't like really.
He wasn't really a rapper. Yeah, like he wasn't really a rapper then.
He was more pop.
I think third base was probably close.
Probably third base.
Third base.
Third base.
Kids on the Block wasn't rappers.
They didn't rap.
No, we talking about real hip hop.
Yeah.
At that time, it was not.
It was third base.
Third base was like, you know, they was on the edge.
We didn't even respect them heights.
Like it wasn't like the white rapper didn't get accepted until Eminem. But so you talking 95?
95, man. I had songs on the radio and everything, but the money wasn't coming. And I mean, my girlfriend would come home from her job, and I take her car to the studio as soon as she got home. I can understand why I'm
Like, my baby
but here's the thing.
Shout out, baby
I
mamas.
had this dream, bro, and I was really working at it. She didn't see that. She just saw me like, oh, you're gonna be just like my ex-husband. See, she had an ex-husband problem, the detox. She had a detox. She had an ex-husband. He reminds me of just like you. Like you gonna be just like him. So it was a connection. So she talked all this junk to me, and eventually it started affecting me and my girlfriend. Because at one point in time we just couldn't even stay there. We were gonna have to leave. It's like we couldn't see each other every time I come over there. She'd go to talking that way. Yeah, that. So finally we moved out and whatever, and then my girlfriend got homesick and wanted to come back home. Mama said, well, look, I'll let you back home, but you're going to have to break up with him. That's the only way you're going to be home. Well, at this point now, she started believing everything her mother had said. Because she's been saying it 5 years now. You know, that he never going to be nothing, he going to never be nothing, he going to never be nothing. So we ended up on ways. 6 months later, bro, I signed my first record deal. 3 months later after that, 3 months after that, I hit 18 on Billboard. Bro, I'm on the cover. Every magazine, I'm double page and source, Excel rap pages, everything. Rolling Stone. She understood. I had a brand new car, all that. I'm talking about within 6-9 months, bro. Like my whole thing changed. But I put it in gear, to be honest. I put it in gear because of that. Because see, I needed that one little boost. I was already grinding. Like I was already hustling. But now, man, I was determined. But the whole time, the mother said something that stuck to me. She said, "You just a dreamer." Right? So for all my years in music, I used to hear that voice. Can you execute or you just dream? So like when I'd be, at 2, 3 in the morning over here at these clubs, man, promote, I'd be like, man, it's cold, I'm gonna go home, or it's tired, or they shooting whatever, I wanna go home. And that voice would come on, you just dream. Ooh, I'd stay out there that extra hour. 2 hours. I'll be the last one. I'm closing that place.
Yeah.
Because of that, because now
just want to put some chairs up.
Right, for real. That's how I was. Now it was bitterness, so it was a negative thing. But I mean, I was channeling the best way I knew how. I didn't have the tools and the knowledge to understand how to get rid of that then, man. But I was channeling, and it drove me, man. I won Hustler of the Month in Ozone. From they see me out the other side of the road, man.
One thing I could say about you, White Dawg, is that when I first met you, I think I was like a G. Man, this was we was doing Thug Ride, didn't we? You had the van rap.
Yeah.
I caught you at West Oaks Mall.
Yeah.
I think you was in there just passing out stuff.
Right. I was still in Fort Lauderdale, but I came up here.
Yeah. You came out, and I remember you being in the Source. So back then, anybody in the Source, and you see them in person, like, yo, you famous? What's up? Like, you know what I'm saying? You always had that good energy. You was like, hey man, we up here, woo. Fast forward a couple of years later, you down here now, doing clientele.
Right.
Now here I go again. Hey man, can you play my CD? Yeah. Boom, and you always there.
Yeah.
Always gave good advice, and to this day, it's good to see you still have that same energy. Like now, like you know what I mean.
Well, that's what it was. Man, see, like all the elements of what I do now were played in. I just hadn't assembled them together, really understood the gift that I had. Right.
Speaking of clientele, like what's your relationship with
Dawg? We good, man. We go. I moved up here because
good. I remember when you came up here. Yeah.
We were talking about Eminem before. The second album, that Thug Ride album that I came out with, man. We had some investors. Had $500,000. We started a label, Paper Chasers, which you saw me in the van over there. In Miami, we started a label called Paper Chasers, and me and Eminem dropped the same month.
Yep.
In Source.
Yep.
In August of '99.
Yep.
I was at the right place at the right time. But one thing here, the principal thing I learned about, assembling, and the Bible talks about in wage war, assemble wise counsel from. We was all young and hungry in the music business, people that had been assembled around, but we had no wisdom with us. So I had all this grand, massive global ambitions, but we had local mindsets and local knowledge and local networks and not global networks. Right. Now the flip side of that, Eminem had the Dre, the global machine, right? So I understood, like, why did that work? We dropped the same time. Like, we were the same conventions, the same records. My record over here, you get the same results. I'm selling every record, every store I went to, right? So we sold that album out because we did so much promotion, bro. Like the problem we had was stocking it. We got to the point we couldn't stock it quick enough because we was an independent label. So what happens when you're an independent label like we were back in the day? We would put it in the store. Let's say back in Peaches, Blockbuster, whatever. It'd sell. Okay, the store would have 90 days to pay the distributor, and the distributor had 90 days to pay you. So 6 months you're looking no money.
Yeah, where's my check?
Right now we sell out the first week.
Yeah.
Now, we're not getting paid for that for 6 months, but we got to restock. We got to restock the album. So we got to go back, press another $30,000. And you got to press that out of your pocket, so that's another $30,000. Next week you sell out. Success becomes the enemy because you ain't got enough to stop it.
Right.
So and the way the system was set up back then, they knew, there was a limit to your money most of the time.
Right.
And unless you had a follow-up that they needed, like a follow-up record right behind it that they needed, you never got paid. You had to sue them in court. You may even get settled out for half, 50% on the dollar. This was they did the same strategy with every independent label. It's like, we'll just, whatever. But people like Master P caught on. And what they started doing was advertising the next album on the inside cover. Yeah. So when the distributor started ordering me an X album or a Silk album, he said, "Well, pay me for Ghetto Dope. Pay me for Ghetto Dope. Pay me for True." Yeah. Right. So that's why he did that. He always kept that little dangler, right?
The PPP is one of my favorite.
Yeah, man. So he understood these laws. Like if you study all the greats,
you went to school.
If you study all the greats, they tapping into this. I just didn't understand what it was they was tapping into. Right. But. Coming up through that game in the music, all these principles I was tapping in and tapping out on, and times I failed and struggled, I look back and I violated some of the principles.
Like speaking of the book, where can they find it at?
Man, you can get it at blessedunstoppable.com or you can get it at billyallsbooks.com. But you just put in Blessed Unstoppable to take you right to my Amazon store, and we'll ship that thing right to you. Yeah, I got the clothing line too. Oh yeah, we got the clothing line too. B7U clothing. Yeah, we got B7U clothing. We got the trademarks. Got the trademarks for all that. I got a whole line of grind line like this, man. Got some really strong designs and positivity on the shirts. So you can wear it in positivity.
Gotcha.
Like back in the day, we used to have the street life on the shirts, right?
I still
promoting that. Now I'm doing the same thing. Right. Now I'm doing the same thing. I'm just doing it in a positive way. It was like the blueprint was there in the music. I just changed the product. The blueprint was always been here, the hustle, the grind, and all that. But now I'm just doing it in a positive way, man.
And it looks like you have self-assessment questions.
Yes.
You got no pictures in that book?
Nah. It's simplistic though, man.
Pictures
I
for
wrote
what?
I wrote it for the average person.
Look at some pictures, man.
No.
See, I wrote it for the average person, man. I didn't write it for all. I wrote it for the average person, bro, that is out there struggling and needs to get some momentum, just like me on that block, and say, okay, how can I pick this book up right now and get something out of it?
You got the audio version of the book?
No, because see, it's a work book. You got to do some homework. It's like street. You got to grind a little bit.
So I'm gonna ask you. So what does living in the now mean to you?
Like right now, meaning, okay, I got global ambitions to reach 1 billion people with my material and to impact their life. Okay, that's the global ambition. But if I ever want to achieve and realize that ambition, I must bring myself into the now right now and do what it takes today. Right now, what needs to be done today to make that happen. If I'm living so much in the future but not taking care of today, I'll never happen. You see what I'm saying? Conquering now this is where your power's at. What you do today. It's not like what tomorrow. Yeah. Right, it's like, okay, today, every day I get up and say, did I win today? Did I win today? Or when in the morning I say, well, what is it going to take to win today? Yeah. What if I got it? What's the most important thing I can do right now today that'll help me get to that 1 billion people? What I do is I cut everything off my schedule that don't bring me to my goal, bro. Because see, success, 99% of success is knowing what to say no to. We say yes to so much that we shouldn't be saying yes to. And it seems like it's producing results and it ain't just keeping us busy all day.
All right, don't give them too much.
And you got a quote in here, and the point is to understand Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
This is a dope book.
They got to go buy the book, man. Tell them one more time where they can find it.
blessedandunstoppable.com. And if you hadn't already subscribed on YouTube, get on YouTube. I'm telling you, I got 140 something videos on there. They all free. They're 20-30 minutes long. If you're going through a tough time, man, put these on. They will change your life, man. I speak number life and I speak fire that God will send me on these things. And they got amazing, powerful music underneath it, bro. They're going to bring you to tears. They're going to shake you on the inside.
I just got to get out of that mind frame and stop praying for fucked up shit.
What you pray for?
Like,
No, I don't.
God, let me fuck up.
Oh.
I still pray for fucked up stuff.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to be careful with what you pray for.
Yeah, you ain't never prayed for nothing bad.
No.
Stop lying.
For something bad.
Like, you ain't never got in trouble. Like, please, God, let me out of this. Please. And you know you did it.
Yeah, we make them little deals.
Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? Like, everybody.
I won't do that again, Lord, if I get out of this. You help me out of this.
Exactly. Like, come on,
and then the next time we're doing it right back again. You know what I mean?
But what? Pleasure seeing you again. Always
pleasure
seeing you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna start calling you Billy from now on.
Yeah.
Dr. Billy.
Let me tell them what the YouTube is. YouTube.com/Billy. That's BILLY Allsbrooks. ALSBROOKS. Billy Allsbrooks. Check it out.
Appreciate you.
Dr. Billy Allsbrooks.
And I appreciate y'all having me.
Purchase the book one more time.
blessedandunstoppable.com. It's been sold in 26 countries.
You got us some
And it's on Amazon too.
Yeah, you get them. I swear, it link you to my Amazon.
You got them shirts in different colors too?
I got them in there.
Yeah.
You get them right there. You get them on there too.
I want one for my baby too.
Oh yeah, we got them for the little kids, the onesies, all that.
Yeah.
Less than
You got onesies?
Yeah, all that.
Oh man, now you gonna put
I
the
can
jet
get
in one.
jet one.
Yeah.
So Billy Allbrook, formerly known to what? You say formerly known, or that's just part of the story?
Yeah, that's who I used to. It's a part of
Yeah, because
White
when
Dawg.
you introduced yourself, I was like, oh, can I not call him White Dawg anymore?
I can't help it. I've been
You know,
calling them White Dawg.
I got to a point. Let me tell you a little story about that. Because for so long in music, I was functioning half truths. White Dawg was half me and half of what I seen and half of what I wanted to be. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like as rappers, we just kind of assemble and we just become this character almost. There was elements out there in me. Now, don't get me wrong. Like it was there, but it wasn't full 100% true. So when
fight with that now.
Yeah, when I got out of that business, said, man, I'm gonna be me from now on, because that's the only way it's gonna work. Because the songs that did good usually was really, really rooted in me. You know what I'm saying? In some kind of way, you could feel the truth underneath. You know what I mean? And so when I started this, I'm like, you know what? You just gonna have to be you. It's not gonna work. You trying to be somebody else you ain't. They gonna smell that out. You know what I mean? Like people can smell underneath. Like you can say all this, but like something ain't clicking with Buddy. Like I don't know what it is. You just know when it's not true. So I went back to my name. I'm like, bro, the only way I can do is just be me. Right. So if you see me in Walmart, you see Billy. If you see me on stage in New York, in front of 20,000 people speaking now, you're gonna see Billy. It's not gonna be no difference. Right. You know what I mean? When I go to these corporate events, I don't put the suit on. I wear this right here in my brain because this is who I am. Right. If they don't understand that, then I don't even call to be there. You know what I mean? You gotta be yourself. That's the only way it works.
What made you keep the goals though?
They're permanent, bro. They don't come out, bro.
They don't come out.
You know, when I first started doing speaking, man, for 18 months, I struggled with my image, man, because I'm like, I don't want like none of these motivational speakers, man. Like they all in suit, and they all got these, big degrees and all that. Who you? What?
Well, you with the hat.
Yeah, and I got a hat, all this. And, first 18 months, bro, I didn't even put no pictures on social media. Like they didn't even know I was putting the videos out, and they were going global, and people calling to book me, but they didn't even know what I look like, what I sound like, nothing, bro. Because I was almost embarrassed. I was like, bro, they ain't gonna take that from me. I got these teeth that look like this,
Well, you my favorite motivational speaker, man. We can do this all day, man.
We really could.
Can we want to take people up.
Always love, bro.
You said August
4th, man.
August 4th?
Yeah.
All right, we pulling up. We going.
August 4th, what is it gonna be at?
It's gonna be the double tree right there on Cimarron.
Can't go on somewhere.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring my son. I'm gonna bring
Cimarron.
We pulling up.
Right there, Cimarron, double tree by the airport.
Double tree by the airport.
Yeah, August 4th.
30 seconds, what you got, bro?
We already know, man. Urban Comedy Fest coming up July 19th. We doing it big. We got
That's the Kings of Florida.
the Kings of Florida is July 5th.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Then we got the Queens of Comedy this weekend in Atlanta. We be doing this urban comedy thing, but you already know, man. We'll see y'all Tuesday. I'll tell y'all more about it. But thank you, Billy. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you, man.
Good
See you, man.
to see you, man. Thank you for coming, man.
You already know.
Appreciate you.
You already know.
Shout out to everybody who gets popping. You think you're somebody, man. You can follow us on the Urban Asshole Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook. You can find this episode soon on TV, on YouTube.
Shout out to Intervision TV. You already know.
Intervision camera.
Always,
Shout out to Camera Lady.
always love, man.
She don't like to look like to put on the spot.
Also, we are doing a backpack drive and a gently used.
Gently used shoe drive.
Also, you guys can bring them up to the studio whenever you guys come. My boys are in Kansas City for the Under Armour Championship, and then they got the Nationals coming up this week. I will post a schedule on
Shout
my
out to
Facebook.
Poppy Hair and the Bulls.
Right.
Powerhouse
Follow me
Bulls.
on Instagram, It Be So Good, and Facebook, Gabby Good. Snapchat, It Be So Good. Y'all coming to the games, right? Next week, it's Nationals.
Where they at?
At Disney.
Free?
Hell no, it's like fucking $20 to get in there.
Nah, I can't do it.
Really?
I got child support, man.
You
Y'all what Bryce
You
get
gotta
to leave?
come
What
get
y'all
me.
gonna do?
You have to come get me.
I'm still want free shoes.
Come get me, I do it. I owe Bryce. Bryce cussed me out today.
Oh yeah, he's like, call Rugg, and he's like,
Matter of fact, I'm gonna follow him. Yeah, he cussed me out.
like, please follow him on your not supposed to page.
I don't owe nobody shit, man.
Not even a baby.
Shout out to Bryce, bro. I love you, though.
You can follow him.
We'll holler at y'all maybe folks next week. You already know, arrogant assholes.
What?
One big.
I don't do it, he get mad. When I do it, he get mad.
I thought you did the other one.
What's the other one?
I'm taking this book home, man.
Yeah, we know.
Appreciate it.
You want to let her hold it.